U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville is back in Alabama and with us here on the News at 11.
ABC 3340 News anchor Pam Huff is with Alabama's senior senator in Studio D right now. Pam.
Kiara and Stoney, we are certainly honored to have the senator join us here today.
Coach.
You can call yourself coach. You're my U.S. senator, so I'll refer to you that way. But we just saw Donald Trump preparing to turn himself in today. You have always been a strong supporter of the former president. Do you think he'll stay in the presidential race?
I don't think there's any doubt. No, this is what it's all about. This is not going to be the first and only time that they're going to push the envelope on some kind of charges. There'll be several others that go through the next year and a half. They're picking on the wrong guy. I talk to him at least once a week, and he's strong. He's what we need right now in this country. If you really believe in America and the freedoms in our Constitution, we got to really be careful of what we're doing here, okay? But if anybody can handle it, he can. He's strong. He believes in a free country, our Constitution. I don't really understand why we're going this direction, especially from New York, from a district attorney there who said, hey, no matter what, you elect me, I'll go after Donald Trump. I guess he's holding a campaign promise, but it's not going to work. It's going to make President Trump stronger, and I'm looking forward to see what happens.
We'll continue to watch it.
Yeah.
On down to what you do in Congress. You are delaying a vote right now of 184 military promotions that typically are just done with a unanimous consent. You're doing this because you're very upset, angry might even be a better word, with the Pentagon for not only allowing 3 weeks of paid leave, but also reimbursing for travel for a military person who needs to go outside the area she is in to have an abortion. Why do you think you can win this battle?
Well, because I'm for the Constitution. And really, Pam, at the end of the day, it's not about abortion. About 7-8 months ago, we got wind from the Department of Defense that they were going to change the policy or the law in the military. Now, we already have an abortion law, rape, incest, harm to the mom, health of the mom. And so we already have that in place. And we've had abortions for years, and it's worked fine. Nobody's ever complained about it. There hasn't been one talk about changing it. And all of a sudden we started hearing, okay, we're going to change this policy after Roe Wade. And so I kept asking for a briefing. Well, around Thanksgiving this past year, I finally got a briefing. And they sat down with me, the Assistant Secretary of Defense, and explained it to me. I said, wait a minute, you can't do this. You can't change the policy. You can't change the law. Last time I looked, you weren't elected to Congress. We change them. Now, if you want to change it, just send it through us and we'll vote on it and it'll probably pass. I said, but if you do this on your own, then I'm going to hold up your nominations. Sent a letter to the Department of Defense, and February the 8th, they changed the policy on their own. Right after that, I put a hold on, and we're at a stalemate right now. We're 184 and counting.
And you've really angered the Secretary of Defense. He says that you are now interfering with our military readiness. What's your comment to that?
Well, there's 184 generals and climbing that want to have promotions. You got to remember, nobody ever leaves their station until they're replaced. So this has nothing to do with national security. I'm fighting for the Constitution, the people that want things done in Congress instead of on their own. Now, this White House continues to make moves outside the Constitution, and we're slowly losing our freedoms and the voice of the people. And so this is not a small thing. It's just another thing that just keeps adding up to the things that we're losing from what we have an opinion of in Congress. And as I said, if they had voted on it, it would pass.
Well, let's go, though, to a vote that you are going to be trying to push, as I understand, when you go back, and that is you want to reverse the VA's policy. The VA's policy offering abortions in cases of rape and incest or the health of the mother. Tell me why you're upset with this.
Well, because first of all, if you look at the VA, we've never done abortions in the VA. Never happened. I mean, they do them at other places.
Right.
The VA is to help the veterans with their health after serving time in the military.
Which could be also a woman.
Well, it could be. It could be, but those
They're veterans as well.
But those have been taken care of before at other places. We're not equipped. We don't have the equipment in the VA. We don't have the doctors that train to do that. And it's just another one of those situations where they said, we're going to do it. We don't care what Congress or the American people say. Again, it's a small point of just doing things on their own, taking away the freedoms and costing the taxpayers more money. The VA is going to cost taxpayers more money. A lot of people don't believe in abortion in this country, but they're going to have to pay for abortions. That's not legal. Same thing with the military, the promotions.
The Hyde Act,
yeah,
right.
The taxpayers are having to fund this.
We are quickly running out of the time we have, but let's move, if we can, to the latest school shooting in Nashville. 6 people. I know you think that's horrible, but the shooter there bought 7 guns at 5 stores, purchased everything legally, even though this particular shooter was under the care of a psychiatrist for what they described as an emotional issue. When you see that, are you still convinced that we don't need to change gun laws in this country?
Well, we don't need to change the Second Amendment. We cannot take away guns because of just a few people. The problem is you take away guns and it gives the government an upper hand on people to protect themselves. Pam, we have a huge mental health problem in this country.
Agreed.
I noticed it while I was coaching. It's got worse and worse. We're giving our kids at a younger age more drugs for attention deficit, things like that. We're causing more mental health problems. We need to address that more than a gun problem. If it wasn't guns, it would be something else. It would be a bomb, it would be a knife, it would be something else where you could take life or destroy property. We keep looking at the wrong thing. We've got to help mental health people.
That takes a lot of money to do that.
I agree.
In the meantime, we keep having a mass shooting almost every day. We can't keep that up either, can we?
Well, you'd hate to say this, but as I said, that if somebody's going to try to take a life, they're going to do it no matter what, whether it's a gun. I mean, they're going to find a way to do it. We've got to fix the problem. The problem is people. The problem is people with huge mental health problems. It's getting worse. Our kids are just absolutely having a tough time with social media, growing up in this environment, and we've got to find an answer to it. We can take all the guns away we want. It will not slow it down at all.
Let's move to something that we're very quickly running out of time on, and that is what we're going to do about the debt ceiling. This nation has never defaulted on its debt. Will Republicans allow that to happen this time?
No. We're not going to default on our debt. We're going to pay our bills. You've always paid your bills. I've always paid my bills. America's always paid their bills, and we're going to continue to do that. Now, that being said, Pam, we have got to stop this overspending in this country. We spent $6.5 trillion more than we should have spent the last 2 years. My first 2 years, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the things that we're spending money on. It's useless. We're wasting money. The abuse, the fraud, it's out of hand. And I'm all for helping people now, but the American taxpayers cannot afford it. You and I, our kids and grandkids are going to suffer from this. We're going to bankrupt our country. We're already bankrupt. We're not to the point yet where we're going to really see the implications of overspending. But we do need a debt ceiling. We just keep saying, just pass it on. Sooner or later, we've got to get to a point where, hey, that's a top line. We're going to spend this amount of money. Then we got to find ways to get around everything else.
And you feel that if you went ahead and raised the debt ceiling now without those changes that you want made, we're back to square one? Nothing's going to happen?
Well, you can't just all of a sudden say, we're going to stop spending money. We've got too many. Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
And Republicans aren't going to vote for that. You just hear the left say, they're going to vote against it. They're going to close the country. We're not going to do that. I mean, that's ridiculous. We cannot now our debt, interest on our debts, heck, $600-700 billion now a year that we're paying for that. I mean,
that will crush you after.
We can't afford it. We can't afford it, and our kids can't afford it. I mean, that's as much almost as we're paying on our national defense, which is the most important thing that we do.
Let's talk about defense, though. We are putting a whole heck of a lot of money into Ukraine right now. Yeah. You have been very supportive of us helping Ukraine. How much more do we give?
Oh. It's kind of like the debt ceiling. How far do you go?
Yeah.
Ukraine has fought very hard. I mean,
absolutely.
They can't win this. At the end of the day, a win for them is to go to the negotiating table and find out what Russia wants, what Ukraine wants, to have them have freedom as Ukrainians. Now you got to remember, this is different than what most people think. Ukraine is half Russian. And a lot of the people in Russia want to be part of Russia. You know, they want to stay Russian. They want to be able to speak Russian. And so there's a lot of people there that would disagree with what we're doing. But we are putting a lot of money in there. A lot of people are getting killed for no reason. This should have been decided about a year ago of how far this needs to go. We're as much of fault. United States of America, our diplomacy and our pushing NATO on Ukraine has caused as much of this as anything.
But you've got a president who continues to say, we are with you until the end. You're saying we've got to find a way to cut money, but we support Ukraine. And the American people are going, how many more billions are we putting out there?
Yeah, and we got to start putting the brakes on this soon. We got to find an off-ramp. Putin does not have an off-ramp. He's not going to allow NATO to be on his borders. We've got to talk to Zelensky and the people of Ukraine to kind of buy into this. We got to find a way out. We can't continue to do this. Again, Ukraine, they don't have enough people to fight. We do not want to send our boys and girls, men and women, to fight in a fight that's that far away from home. Our number one adversary is China. They're loading up and getting ready for war, and we're helping in another part of the world that could stop if we had a president in the White House that would make some phone calls. We got to have a president with leadership. President Biden, I don't understand his theory on this. Get involved in this. Get involved to stop this madness in Ukraine. But he's got to get involved personally. Get on the phone, call Putin. If you got to call Xi of China, call him. But we have got to have somebody that's going to make a phone call and start the negotiations. Right now, there's nothing going on.
Sounds like you've got a lot of work left to do. Also, when you get back to Washington, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.